Hey, what's up? This is Mark Lopes from Metal Church of Ross the Boss Band. Let us pray. And you'll listen to Aftershocks TV. And don't forget to keep it fucking metal. Yeah.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Aftershocks TV, right here on the CMS Network. And joining both Tom and myself today, we'd like to welcome our guests coming to us from El Paso, Texas. We got the 90s groove metal maestros themselves, Eddy, Joe, and Geo from Piss and Razors are joining us today. Guys, thanks for coming on. How you guys doing?
Doing great, man. Thank you.
Great, man. Yeah, thanks, you guys, for coming on. So just quick to start things off, fellas. I mean, I saw a post on one of your social media pages that said, I think it was about a week or so ago, it said you guys are planning, preparing, rehearsing, mapping, navigating, ordering, anticipating, get ready. All right, so what should we all be getting ready for? Go ahead and fill us in if you don't mind.
Well, at the moment, I think we have, we started off with one show that was coming up in April. It's kind of like a mini festival in New Mexico. They do it annually. It's called the Spring Fling. So they're doing Spring Fling 24. We're going to headline that thing. It's put together with a bunch of our friends down there in close to Alamogordo, New Mexico. We've played with them in the past with other projects that we've done. We've also done Piss and Razors has played before, part of the Kiva Productions. This one's got Kiva Productions along with Mad Irishman Productions. So we're going to do that, but then we just officially confirmed a show for March 28th. We're going to open up for some other friends of ours that we go way back, some of us with the Flotsam and Jetsam here locally. Sweet. And of course, we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the band itself being together. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of been something that we've been working on to kind of some of the old stuff that we've done over the 30 years. I myself have been in the band for 28. Of course, Eddy and Matt have been, doing this thing for 30 years. And Gio's been with us for at least, going on 10 plus years. So it's going to be a good celebration. There's still a lot of things kind of in the works, and talking to a bunch of other people for potentially some stuff in the latter part of the year. But for now, concentrating on at least a couple of singles and maybe a cover tune yet to be announced. Other than that, I mean, we're here, we're alive, we're well, we're kicking, coming off a strong run that we did last year, heading and finishing off at Milwaukee Metalfest.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and it's great to see you guys back. And I'm going to bring up here, I want, I would love for our listeners and viewers out there to really, if they haven't already, to check out this amazing comeback record you guys put back, a couple years ago, Eulogy Death March. And I just want to get into that a little bit. I know you guys, obviously, you guys were away for some time. You were grouped back in 2014. And I know we didn't see, new music until this came out a couple years ago. So when you guys initially got back together, did it simply just start out as like doing it maybe for fun and doing a show here or there? Or did you guys really want to come back and really reignite the band like you did on this record and what it sounds like you guys are going to be doing now?
Well, I mean, from my perspective, I hate doing shit half-ass. So especially with this stuff, So, the whole time it's like I think the reason it took so long to get this record out is because we just took our time with it, and with everybody's schedules, we're not, not everybody's available, 24/7, 7 days a week. So we have to choose our moments to write and record and all that kind of stuff. But it just, that's why it took so long. But the main thing is like we just don't want to do things half-assed, and that's hopefully it shows in the latest record that we did.
Yeah, well, definitely showed on the last record. And you just mentioned, Milwaukee Metalfest. You guys played last summer. I mean, that was awesome to see that. Jamie Justa, obviously getting that back, together, and obviously that was a big, festival. That was, I mean, just one
and
of the
they
biggest.
did, and they did a freaking amazing job of bringing that back for real.
Sure. Yeah, talk about the performance and everything. Yeah, get into that, please.
Well, we played it 3 years back in the day.
Yeah, we did three years back in the day, 98, 99. And we did the Texas version of it in 2000.
And we did the LA one.
And
it was just, you could just see how it was going downhill in a lot of ways. I mean, we're happy to be playing it, happy to be invited. But there was a lot of things, from the first year that we played it till the last, there was a big difference in how it was handled. And so it was a real pleasant surprise when we played it this last year with Jamie and company putting it together, because it was done really properly. I mean, all the way around from production to just all the organizational things that need to happen with a festival like that. It was pretty freaking cool. I mean, all the way around. And hats off. And the turnout was great. And, we had probably one of the best shows that I would say this was probably the best show at Milwaukee Metalfest that we had out of all of them.
Very cool.
Awesome. Hey, I was listening. You said Matt Irishman Productions, I think you said, and as a fully grown leprechaun, I was interested to hear you say that. So Metal Irishman right here. But first of all, I urge everybody that was going to maybe check this podcast out and just check that Eulogy Death March album out, because it is so goddamn good. It just punches you right in the gut. So everybody, please take hold of that. But after the split in 2004, what was it like coming back, with new and older members at that time, like getting together again and having that conversation about where you were going to go? Because you were 6 albums in, great legacy, great brand of Pissing Razors. But what was that conversation like when you came back at that time in 2004?
I think the conversation started very simple. The way it was kind of brought up, we were all kind of celebrating a closure of a venue that had been around for quite some time and here in the El Paso area. And so, of course, we were all present, and, some of the old faces were there. And when you got, the guys back in the room, myself and Matt and Eddie, and we had our old manager there, Rachel, it just kind of seemed like the moment presented itself immediately. Yeah. And so I always believed that when I can speak for myself, when I departed, it was done for specific reasons. Obviously I was a father, and my kids were really, really young. They were born while we were on, constantly touring. Right. So I missed a lot of those years. So when I departed, I did it for for that reason. And so I always felt that there was unfinished business amongst, the core guys, myself, Eddie, and Matt. Me and Matt we go way back even further in music. We were playing as teenagers in the high school days. And so it was a perfect thing that it just felt like we were all there. It felt like it needed to happen. And it was because of the fact that there was some stuff that we still had within us. And I think it was the appropriate time for us to show it back into the community, the metal community that really appreciated what we did. And we felt that there was still more to offer. And it just felt like it was the right time. And of course, we offered the position to have Rick back in the band. And it at the moment, it felt like he was going to say yes. And then he did. And then, of course, he was in a situation where he was, with a young child as well. Mm-hmm. And he opted to step, to say no. And we all agreed, hey, you know what? That's a perfect reason why not to do it again. And then we sought other people, and Geo just happened to be the guy. and he's been here with us ever since. And we're looking straight ahead, you know, full steam ahead per se. But that's pretty much what it was. It was just unfinished business, and we still knew we had something to offer to everybody out there, especially the people that had never seen us before.
And who's going to take the credit for the Nail Bomb track that you came back with? Because of all the tracks that come back, I was going, "Fuck, what a song to come back with and just kick us."
That
all
was
over
something
the
we
head.
were doing even back in 1997.
When Nail Bomb
Nice.
came out, we started covering that song. We just
Yeah.
loved it so much.
Yeah,
When it came
it's,
out in '94, you know, I got in the band, like I said, in '96. It just felt like it was one of those songs, and it's always been in the set. We have some very old videos that you can find on YouTube, and it's in there, you know. So it's actually
great
pretty
track.
cool
Great
to
track.
see it back then, and it was just it was one of those songs that kind of was like our little trademark.
Yeah,
And then,
like
and then to bring in our old friend Steve Esquivel from Skin Lab, it just felt supernatural to get him in there. It was, you know, he's always been a great friend of ours, and the other brother, you know, the big brother, we kind of like Ed, you know.
Terenda.
So it's just one of those things, man. It's that song is just a staple in
it's a
Fist and
killer,
Razors.
killer track.
Yeah, no, it is. So I mean, you guys were just, you know, talking about, you know, when you disbanded, obviously, you know, early 2000s. And I know it'd been, like you said, we had talked about it had been since you put out the last album. It was 17, you know, years or so since you had released the last album. Before that, Evolution. And that was also a time too when the industry was going through a lot of changes too. I mean, you guys really were kind of like, you know, one of those last bands of this kind of sound, you know, groove metal sound, really at that time that really, you know, was like, I always look at bands like Skin Lab and you guys as those kind of like that. That era is when then all of a sudden we got into the 2000s and it was a little bit more new metal and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, you guys had, you know, did have good success. You were on 2 solid labels. You were on Noise Records. Spitfire was a great label. And also the labels were obviously starting to go under too, right around the time you guys disbanded as well in the mid 2000s. And just the industry just started, you know, it just got all basically upended than from what everyone knew before. Because that was such a really murky time, I know, for just bands in general, especially bands who had been around for some time. So I mean, so just thinking back, I guess, to that time when you guys did disband, was there really, I would say, like, did that contribute to, I guess, you know, you guys maybe deciding to kind of, you know, stop? I mean, especially for Eddie and Matt. I mean, was Joe leaving? Was that just kind of like, well, if Joe's not going to be in this, then, you know, there's no point in doing this? Was that something you were thinking, Eddie?
Well, I mean, I think we're trying to, you know, these guys had legitimate reasons for leaving, you know, like Joe was saying, and of course we didn't want them to leave, but you know, I wanted to carry on and keep going. And as far as like the whole record industry, I think when we got signed at first, I think we caught the tail end of what a record deal used to be.
Yeah.
You know, you get an advance and, you know, you get to record in a proper studio and with a producer and there's, you know, some money there to do the record properly. And then after the fact, you get a little bit of tour support to go out on tour. And as the years went on, that kind of diminished all the way around, even though, and I have to thank our business manager, Stan Vincent, back in the day. He did a really great job for us with Spitfire. And but even so, it was, you know, by the time, you know, we had done Where We Come From, you know, we had got Jason Bragg, Dewey, and then, you know, after that record, you know, he departed from the band, and then so did Caesar. And so, you know, I had to get 2 new guys, and we were under the gun to get a record done. And, you know, at that point, I mean, for me, it just became not fun. It was like work. Now I got to fucking deliver this shit and, you know, and make it happen. And nothing against Andre or Matt DeFabula came in and you know, took over those parts, but you know, they had a very, very short time, you know, I mean, and this is something that the style that we came up with or that we're doing is from playing together and rehearsing together a lot. and we didn't have that time with Matt and Andre, and so it kind of shows in the record, but it's not their fault whatsoever. And at that point, it's like, well, at that point, it's like, well, I'm kind of burnt, and time to take a break. And we didn't necessarily announce that we're breaking up or whatever, but it's just like, well, I'm kind of done for now. So, so when things came around in 2014, 15, it's like, well, I feel refreshed. Let's give this a go again and have some fun. It should be about fun first and foremost. And so that's what it's all about, and we have no time pressures or crunches, things at our own leisure. So that's all cool.
Nice. Yeah. Now, when you guys originally got back together, and obviously you got Geo in the band now, in terms of like the writing and the recording, that process, I mean, has that been, is it kind of the same as you guys had always done when you, Matt and Joe were basically, in the band together, or have you guys, had to make some adjustments? I mean, did it feel like once you got back together, it was like, oh yeah, this is just natural and just the way you remembered it, or did you have to make, some adjustments just because it had been a while?
No, not at all, man.
Geo? Yeah, cool.
No, not at all. Yeah. I mean, it was like, the thing for me, and the hardest thing for me throughout the years of playing is finding the three other guys that are on the same thought mentality and we got the same direction. Yeah, that was the hardest thing to find. So it's like, as soon as everybody was back in, and then Gio's always he's always been driven and in music, and so I knew he was the right guy for the band right from the get-go. So there was no question, when we got back together. It's like it just boom. It was easy,
Yeah. Nice to. So I mean, now Geo, let's get you in here. I mean, obviously you're the newer member, like you said, but not so new. I mean, about 10 years now, right? Since you've been with the band. Now, were you obviously just a fan of the band, being locally, and I mean, how did you kind of connect with the guys and get into the band?
Well, I was not only a fan of the band; we were all great friends. Okay. I've known Eddy since early '80s. We've everybody's basically from the same music scene here in El Paso.
We've seen each other in spandex.
Yeah.
We want photographs. We want photographs.
No, we don't. No, we don't want photographs. Take it
Don't take it out because it's true.
So we've known each other since back then, and then Ed and I we hooked up and we did a Pantera tribute, which was right before and that's how him and I got real tight on playing together. So when it came about, when they were reuniting, and so as soon as they told me Rick wasn't, available and unable to do it, sure, I was like, man, I'm 110 if you guys, give me the shot, and it was slid right in, man. From day one rehearsal, it's been nice, been smooth.
Oh yeah.
I got to go back on not the spandex, but like the 1980s scene. Talk to me about that back in your day, back in your hometown. What did that look like? What was the rock and roll scene? Can you remember or go back that far?
I couldn't get in the band because I didn't look right. How could I play puckers, but I couldn't get in the band because I didn't look the part,
The funny thing, I was singing in the 80s, so you can imagine what I looked like.
Because
endorsement.
But even the scene back then, I mean, like the real heavy shit wasn't in there yet. The hair metal scene wasn't really a thing in 1980. It was like the Led Zeppelin were going away, Maiden were coming in. So that's always like a golden era of what was and what was about to be, I guess, in the metal scene. But my question would be, just kind of a fun one here. I read a couple of interviews going back a bit, and you guys knew Dimebag and Vinny. You must have a story or two you can share with us tonight that hasn't been printed before.
Oh Jesus, there's too many to freaking talk about. Could write a book on just those two.
You should do it.
Oh yeah. So Dime, man, he was such a fucking great human being, man. So we were hanging out at this bar, and of course, there's a lot of people hanging around, and shots are flying, and we're having a good old time. And there's this guy, he's this big musclehead guy, that he's just hanging around Dime, super fan, just kind of smothering him, And so we end up going, he invites us over to his house, and we're partying there. So it's us, Dime, and I think Rita was there that night, and that dude, and maybe one or two other people. But again, that guy was just smothering Dime, smothering him, and and so we're all so
somebody got a classic phone call.
So anyways, we're all
chiming in.
Yeah, we're all walking around the house checking stuff out. It's like a freaking Toys R Us for fucking rock and roll dudes, And so after a while, I noticed Dime's not around. I'm like, where the fuck did he go? So I'm walking around the house, kind of looking for him. I'll call you back, buddy.
It's like
it might be at the door.
It's like an interlude to a party or something.
I know, yeah.
Like, what you gonna get?
I'm hoping to sound at least some whiskeys here.
There you go.
I love it.
The whiskey has arrived. Man, oh man.
So anyways, I go walking around the house, and I walk in his kitchen, and he had this pantry, where they had all their canned foods and all that kind of stuff. And the door was just cracked open like that much. And I look in there, and I just see his freaking Converse shoes in there, right? So I open the door, and he's sitting there in there drinking by himself. And I'm going, what the fuck, dude? What are you doing? He goes, oh, dude, man, I can't even have a good time in my own house. I want to hang out with you guys, blah, blah, blah. And this guy won't fucking leave me alone. I go, well, just, fucking, it's your house. Ask him to leave. Oh, and it's like, man, I go, well, we'll ask him to leave. There's a bunch of us. He's a big dude, but there's more of us than him.
Yeah. That's awesome.
He goes, no, man, hang on. I got it. So he goes and wakes Rita up and asks her for cash so he can call a cab for this dude. He calls a cab for this guy, gives the cab driver some money, puts him in the cab. They take off. Like 5-10 minutes later, the dude's back. The cab driver bought him back, I guess. He was like a Arab guy, and he started calling him, all kinds of racial slurs and who knows. And so the guy was like, "Fuck you! I'm not driving you anywhere." He brought him right back to the house. So there goes Don again, wakes Rita up again for some more cash.
Oh,
this guy in the fucking cab again, and then he was gone after that. We partied.
That's funny.
Nice. That's a good one, man. Yeah.
Hey, I got another kind of fun trivia one. I read, and I don't know who it was specifically, said you wanted to write a song with King Diamond. So who was that, and did it ever happen, or is it likely to happen?
I've always been a King Diamond fan, and that would be for me, because that was the thing that I always got into, the way he sang and all that, and I would try to emulate that, back in the latter part of my years and his years and all that. I mean, it's never been an option. It's never even been brought up to the guy. If it did happen, I'd probably pass out. I'd be like, hey, what? It's gonna happen. Oh, okay, bye. But it would be amazing. I know the guys from
Joe would be like this.
Yeah. Sorry, King. Sorry, King. I love you, but it ain't happening.
I love it.
But I'll tell you what. I mean, what a collaboration that would be. That'd be a topper for me.
Man.
I know the guys from. I think Volbeat did the song. I had one of the songs with him and stuff, and that was an amazing tune. If I could do something like that. That would be awesome. But yeah, it was me. I'm the King Diamond.
All right.
fan.
All right.
Nice.
Love it.
Very cool, man. Well, it's just I want to talk to you guys. What's interesting about Piss and Razors is that you guys, how it relates really, your band obviously to the other metal bands that come from Texas. Is that you guys are, and I don't know if a lot of people outside of Texas know that, but you're ways away from really all the the bigger cities in Texas. I mean, it's probably by I think a good 8 or 9 hours from Dallas and Austin, right? El Paso, pretty much, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
Right. Yeah. So I'm assuming when you guys were starting out, it wasn't like you had really the luxury of being close, to a lot, to the Panteras and a lot of those bands, obviously, that were, doing really well at the time in order to help you guys kind of get off the ground and running. So, I mean, in those earlier days, when the band was getting started, I mean, how were you guys, I guess, really able to garner a fan base and get the attention from, especially the labels, coming from a place like El Paso, which in terms of, rock or metal, I mean, really at that time, you didn't really see much coming out of there. I mean, the biggest, I know, like El Paso band that people know about is like At the Drive and Mars Volta, that kind of stuff. So you guys are kind of a little different from the area. So talk a little bit about coming from El Paso and being sort of, I guess, maybe a band from Texas, but not really, from where most of the bands from Texas are from.
Yeah, I think I can explain that. I mean, me and my brother, we all grew up playing at this local rock and roll joint down the street called Sasso's, and it was a cover joint. So we were playing cover bands, just get out there on stage. And before Pissing Razors, we had a band called Backdoor Cyclops. And,
ironically turns into Pissing Razors. Yeah.
But we started off as a cover band, and I was actually playing bass, and we started writing music, but the club owners wouldn't let us play our original music, so we just started sneaking songs in and saying, "Oh, this is a new song by fucking Pearl Jam," or "This is a new song by whatever," and we would play our song, and they didn't know the fucking difference, But by the end towards the end of that, I mean, we were just playing all of our music, and I'm packing the house. So I, went up to the owners. I go, "Listen, man, we're just playing Friday and Saturday, and we're playing one set. We're getting somebody to open up for us, and you're paying us the same as for the whole week." And they agreed because, I mean, we just packed the house. But from during that time, me and my brother put whatever club with help of a bunch of really great friends, and the idea with that was just to bring all original bands. And so I think when we first started, I think we had a list of maybe like 14, 15 local bands that were original, and by the end of that first year, we had a list of 50 bands. Oh, wow. We used to say not all of them were very good, but they were playing original music, and that was the place where they could go and do that, And from that, that's around the time that Pissing Razors started. And so my brother was the guy mainly booking all the bands. So, and we were kind of sowing our oats back then. And the reason we started Pissing Razors is basically, it's like no holds barred. We're not going to be held back we're going to do whatever the fuck we want, however the fuck we want to do it. And we don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. I don't care if they're fucking 2 people there or 200, man. Let's just, let's do something that makes us happy, And I think that's been the whole philosophy ever since then.
Very cool, man. Well, and the thing is, I mean, now too, of course, we're seeing over the last few years now, you got the nostalgia, 90s nostalgia is really back in, whether it's the groove metal or new metal. I mean, it's back in, and people are really interested in this sound again. Young kids, obviously people like myself and Tom who've been listening to stuff as well growing up. And the great thing, for a band like Piss and Razors is, I mean, like I said, there are a bunch of, like, I would love to see you guys, maybe go on tour with Steve and Skin Lab. I'd be a killer, obviously, package right there, just you guys doing something. But I mean, do you guys have really, what's, I guess the maybe goals, or what do you guys want to do? Obviously, I know you want to have fun, and that's, I'm sure why you got the band back together. But, the fact that now you've played Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Metalfest, and, you've got other things now in the work. And like you said, you go 30 years now as a band. I mean, what is it that you guys maybe would like to see, happen, I guess, from here on out, or just going forward as a band?
I guess for I could
bigger tours.
Bigger tours. I'd like to see the band get back to Europe, and you know, even up there in England and stuff like that. You know, those were our bigger markets. You know, back in the day. You know, the U.S. has always been, you know, kind of here and there with accepting whatever it is that's hot at the moment. But going over, you know, abroad was always, you know, the biggest thing and the coolest thing. And the bottom line is just to be able to get back out there and show the people that haven't seen us again, our brand of music, you know, our style. Yeah, I mean, we can't speak enough about having fun, but I mean, yeah, we're not done yet. You know, we still want to go out there again. And we're talking to those guys you mentioned, Skin Lab, to try to get another. We did the Brothers in Blood tour in 2018 with them. And right after we reunited, got our things together, we did a couple of singles. We released the Crushing Grip in 2019, and then followed that back up with Left for Dead. And so that started, you know, the touring cycle, and we went out with those guys. And that's another conversation that's come up with me, myself, and Steve from Skin Lab. They have a bunch of things, you know, coming across the waves right now at the moment. So yeah, you know, getting back out there, getting some bigger tours, at least getting on some of these festivals that are happening. You know, they just happen so quick, and a lot of times, you know, to throw our name in the hat. I mean, we're kind of covered by all the ones that are actually more active than we are. You know, nostalgia is one thing, the name and the history is another. You know, but I mean, we're still competing. You know, we're competing with what's happening at the moment. Yeah. And we're not gonna, I think I made a statement yesterday. Nothing's gonna stop us. You know, we're gonna stop ourselves. But we're gonna keep wanting to push forward, and 30 years, the Brotherhood's gonna keep steaming across the way. You know, so we'll see what happens. But we're eager and we're ready to get at it.
Yeah, that's great, man. You know, and you guys just have always been one of those bands that, you know, when people hear the name, they immediately kind of go like, man, that band should have been huge. It should have been bigger than it was. I mean, I know a handful of people have said that, you know, and it's just like, and then for a lot of people who don't know who you are, when they do hear it, it's like, man, how come I never heard of this band, you know, type of thing. And so I think it's great that you guys are doing that, because I think this is really a great time for you guys to get your due diligence as just, you know, one of the bands that really, with that sound, and not even just at that time period, but just the sound you guys have, man, it's just really unique, and it kicks ass, you know, and more people I think need to hear it. And I'm glad that you guys are going to start doing that. So I'm glad to hear that, and we look forward to, you know, obviously hearing.
Thank you so much. It means it definitely means a lot for sure.
Yep.
I think, you know, we have a lot more in the tank. You know, I've come across sitting in the room with Matt. You know, we always kind of start brainstorming first, and then we give the stuff to the guys, and then we get in the room, and then things just spontaneously happen. You know, and man, I mean, I can't say enough about how much more there is to give. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like let's roll with it. So the next project's it's in the works, guys. It's definitely and it's gonna be in the same vein as the Eulogy Death March, and then some.
Sweet. So. You mentioned about the European festivals. Obviously, being European, I was very lucky to go to a lot of the Monsters of Rock festivals in Donington. So I was at those festivals whereby you could have Metallica and Bon Jovi on the same lineup, or you could have Cinderella and Sepultura, Kiss and Sepultura, and nobody cared. Like Biohazard and Kiss, it was just outrageous from a US perspective. But the Europeans, and this is no diss on, I've lived in the US for 10 years, but we don't go with trends. If you like a band, you like a band. You don't just jump off a genre. Like when I was listening to 1988, I would be 18, 19, listening to all the hair metal shit, and Metallica were coming up and whatever. And it's not like in 1990 came along, I said, oh, well, Pearl Jam are the new thing, so fuck all those bands I listened to for 10 years. And then grunge stopped in 95, and it jumped onto a different scene like Korn and Deftones. I just stayed with it all. Now I love it all. I go the length and breadth of music. So I think that audience out there, more so in Europe, would be very accepting of that crushing music. Really and truly, I can say that as a European metal fan. I was even telling a couple of my buddies that I'm doing this interview tonight. They were going, "How the fuck did you get Pissing Razors on?" Like, so, and these are my buddies in Ireland. Like, genuinely kind of excited to see this. Next week, whenever we get it up there. But I just got to ask just another question before I shoot back to Matt. You spoke about getting back to Europe. What country kind of sticks out in your mind, whether it's personally from a touristy type of thing, because bands got to live and not just play for 90 minutes a night, and even from a fan perspective, what do you recall that really gravitated towards your music?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of the question.
What from a fan perspective, what country kind of sticks out in your mind that you really got that reception you were hoping for more so than other
By
countries?
far, I think for us, hands down, it was England.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think if we would have got to go to Ireland and Scotland, but we did go to
We
Scotland.
did, yeah, we
we
did,
went to
yeah.
Scotland. All
Okay.
the reception up that way was just phenomenal for us, for real.
Yeah, the Brits love their metal for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll tell you that though the Brits keep asking. They're like eager. I mean,
Nice.
Yeah.
there's a lot of requests from all over the world.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you that the Brits are eager to get us back, and that's
Yep.
kind of one of those things that we've been throwing out there as well. So yeah, I mean, we're eager to go. I mean, we'll go wherever it takes us, But the ones that stand out the most for sure, we had a bunch of killer great German shows. I mean, we going out to Greece and killing it for 2 days.
Nice.
Sure.
I mean, was amazing. Kids from El Paso, Texas, having the opportunity to go out there and do these things that we always dreamed of, was surreal, to get out there and stuff. Like I tell you, my ex-wife was like 9 months pregnant and ready to go. And I'm getting on a plane and she's like, well, we'll see you when you get back. Bye. It had to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Again, it was nothing that was going to stop us from getting out there and performing for everybody. So getting out there, our music was out probably a month prior to the U.S. getting it. And just the reception, as soon as we stepped foot into those countries, phenomenal. I mean, they were singing our stuff like there was no tomorrow. Dodging Bullets was the anthem song to
Nice.
just hand them the mic, and they were taking off. Off, and I'm looking back at everybody going, what's going on?
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't speak enough about that. It was amazing.
I appreciate that. And just the last question for me then. I know we're talking about Eulogy. It's it's a couple of years old right now, 2 years, whatever. Where would you send anybody who's watching this and they're looking at that and they jump on Spotify or Apple Music? Outside of this release, where would you send somebody back to really get what the essence of the band is? What album would you send me back to if I was a new fan outside of Eulogy?
I would actually go back to the Cast Down the Plague. I mean, it's got some elements of our self-titled record, but I think the strength and the way it was as far as a band performance, again, I'll speak volumes about Geo. He's when he came in there, he's like he said, 110%, and it shows on the record. It's a true band effort. The Cast Down the Plague was pretty much put together when we were touring in the touring cycle, on the first leg of everything. And those songs were written way, way before. But I'm talking we became this well-oiled machine from all the constant touring that we were doing. That music just kind of super gelled together. And so as we sit right now, with the amount of time that we actually make for ourselves to get into a room and jam, those songs become, it's like this artwork where you're just molding and molding and molding to where it becomes the perfect item that you actually want to be able to put out to everybody.
Yeah.
So the comparison for me and the strength of record and the strength of the music and the tightness and performance, it would emulate, the effort for Cast Down the Plague.
Sweet.
Yeah. Great, man. Great day. So, guys, just want to have you, I guess, give our listeners and our viewers really what's the best place for them to go to either keep up with the band, what's going on with the band, maybe, like I said, best place that you want to send them to either buy or just check out your music. If you got any merch, just go ahead and throw out all the plugs there for the listeners here, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, going back to, we have our Facebooks. Unfortunately, just recently we got our Instagram hacked and we're in the middle of having to restart that whole project. These things happen, we can't get around them, but, Facebook is available for direct communication with us and Terry, our manager, she does a good job about, if there's messages directly from the people, the fans that come directly to us, we're quick to respond and all that stuff. As far as music availability, it's on every digital media, outlet that you can think of. Merchandise, we do, the band camps, and then we've got the big cartel. It's also Facebook merchandise, the stores available there. So yeah, we're pretty much there. I mean, we have the old school videos if people want to look at some old history of the band. We have, the old catalog of videos that we've put up on our YouTube page. So yeah, man, we're pretty much available in every aspect, So I mean, we encourage everybody to reach out to us, on the message board, or just a shout out on a simple, Facebook, shout on whatever we're posting. We try to stay active as much as possible.
Fantastic. Well, once again, everybody, Piston Razors, check out their last record a couple of years ago came out, Eulogy Death March, as well as all their previous records. Go back in history and give these guys a listen if you don't know them yet, because they're fantastic. And I'm just really glad, like I said, guys, that you're back out there doing what you're doing. And I really look forward to, obviously, seeing you guys on the road once I can. And, man, just keep it up, man. I'm glad you guys are still going strong. And thanks again for coming on. Aftershocks, really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys, man.
Thank you for having us. Keep a lookout for us. Hopefully we'll come your way, one way, shape, or form. We'll stay in touch regardless, no matter what.